Hi muckers, welcome back to my second channel. I hope you're all doing really well. So it is currently 4:48 on Saturday the 5th of November. And I'm really excited because whenever I changed over to this iPhone, I kept my old iPhone. I was going to give it to my dad, but then he ended up getting a new phone. So I ended up keeping it and I never traded it in or whatever. It was just kind of lying around my apartment and I was trying to find like a use for it or if a friend wanted it or something like that. And then I thought, I was like, why don't I turn it into like a second channel camera? You know, like delete everything off it, keep it just for the second channel. And that's what I'm going to do. So I've like erased everything on my phone. It's so weird like seeing this phone again. And it's going to make filming second channel videos even easier for whenever I just kind of want to throw the camera on. And that's what is going to be happening today. So first of all, my nails are getting like so like ratty looking. I think they're starting to like grow as well. Like they're starting to like chip off and stuff like that, so I really need to do them again. I don't know why I'm holding it like I have claws. I really love this color of red though. If anyone has any recommendations, let me know. Also, I really desperately want to try, I was out with my friend a couple days ago and we were at one of my other friends' parties and I ran into this guy and he had like orange eyeshadow like under his eye and like ever so slightly on top of his like eye, and it was kind of like, it was not a smoky eye, but it was like, it kind of just added color to his eye, and I was like obsessed. So I really want to get like an eyeshadow palette to try that out with like different colors, because I think it'd be really fun for like videos. Like for example, if I had like red there, whatever, and I naturally have very like dark under eyes anyway, so that's something anyway, that's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about is something that has been like crazy happening to me recently, and I want to know if there's anyone else out there who has experienced it. I'm sure people experience this, and I want to know if there's some sort of like scientific reason for it or whatever, but it's like crazy flashbacks. And I can't, okay, I was gonna say I can't describe it, but I am, because that's what the video's for, Adam. Think. So, for example, it happened that night at the party, where I was at the party and I was just talking with my friends and we were having a jolly time. And I was talking with someone I hadn't met before and they were talking to me and I was not registering anything they were saying. And I was like, yeah, like, you know, responding to them. I didn't want to like then cut them off and be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But the reason was I was like, whenever I was talking to them, I almost felt like I was at my old, not my old friend, but like my friend from home, Grace's house party from 2016 or 2015 or something like that, 2017 even. And it was so crazy. It was literally like I was talking to this person in Brighton, in town, but I thought that I was like at my friend Grace's house party. And I knew that I wasn't, but like, I was like mentally like picturing the party and I felt like I was there. And this happened in different circumstances within the past couple weeks. I'm like, am I going like crazy or something like that? Like I have no idea what's happening. I was sitting in my living room and that's where it happens the most. I'll be sitting in my living room and normally my train of thought will be like looking at the animals or like, you know, Tyler will walk by or Gomez will walk by or something like that. And I'll just be looking at them and I'll be like, damn, I can't believe like I have these animals. Like I can't believe I have like responsibilities. And then like my eyes kind of like fixate and then the cats can be gone, but my eyes start to fixate then. And then I'm like mentally like in a science lab, like in secondary school. And I'm like 16 years old. And then I'm like, whoa. And then like 2 minutes later, I'll come back from that after like almost living it. And then I'll be like, what just happened? And it keeps happening. It keeps, I really like, I don't know what is happening, but it is happening so frequently where I will like be like mentally transported to like a different part of my life. But it always is something that like normally is something that gets like triggered. So like if I'm at like a party, you know, like the party setting reminds me of like the party from my friend's house. Or it happened again whenever I was shopping in the supermarket a couple days ago and I was getting my groceries and I was picking a product up and then I just was, my thought was, oh my God, remember whenever we had to like wear masks whenever we were grocery shopping. Like, that was, you know, mandatory. And remember, especially in Ireland, like, we had to queue outside of the supermarkets to get in. I was like, wow, do you remember that? And then I was like looking at this product, and then before I know it, I'm literally standing in the middle of this aisle holding, it was a green tea box, and I'm just like imagining walking around the supermarket with my mom during peak COVID, and we're getting this for my nana and granddad, and it was my nana and granddad's shopping list. And I have like no idea why it keeps happening, but it, like, everyone I've talked to, all my friends, they're like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, what are you trying to describe? And I'm like, I'm trying to describe that, like, I keep being, like, mentally transported to, like, different parts of my life. And it's not a sad thing. It's not a happy thing. It's not like, there's no, like, emotion attached to it. I just kind of, like, will think about something nostalgically, and then I'll be, like, transported to that place. And I'm like, so I wonder what I could Google to, like, figure this out. Like, what would I Google? And please, if you have, like, any experiences with this, let me know. Sorry, someone commented on my video and was like, cover Trisha not strapping Malibu into her car seat and Moses picking Malibu up by the damn head. These are things that need to be addressed. It's like people trying to, like, call me out for not holding Trisha accountable. I'm like, I already have addressed and called these things. I don't know why people, like, if you're gonna call me out for something, at least watch my videos. Okay, so I wonder what I look in. Flashback to different parts of your life. Emotional flashbacks, how to cope with them. Oh my god. What is dissociative flashback? Some people experience PTSD flashbacks as some type of dissociation. The mental state causes you to feel disconnected from your thoughts, emotions, memory, or identity. You might feel like you're in a movie or have no recognition of where you are. Why do I keep getting flashbacks in my life? Flashbacks can be triggered by a sensory feeling, an emotional memory, a reminder of an event, or even unrelated stressful experiences. Identify the experiences that trigger your flashbacks. If possible, make a plan on how to avoid these triggers or cope with them. Well, this is interesting because, like I said, a lot of them will be as simple as I'll be grocery shopping and I'll be reminded of, like, a certain day. It can almost be so weird that, like, I'll be grocery shopping and I'll remember, like, oh my god, okay, no, for example, we were bowling, me and my friends a couple weeks ago, and I'm sitting watching them go up and go down or whatever like that, and I'm staring directly at the bowling lanes. And then this memory of my dad driving me to the bowling alley whenever I was probably, like, I don't know how old I was, but it was 2008, because I remember hearing Womanizer by Britney Spears on the radio for the first time, but I can't get out of it for, like, a minute or so. Like, I'll be there for, like, a minute, like, just kind of, like, and I'm not, like, if one of my friends was to look at me, I'm not, like, dazed, I'm not whatever, I can still partake in, like, I can talk to them, I can whatever, but I'm just, like, there. Like, I'm thinking about that, and it's really, it's so weird. But most of them, like I said, will be just like that. And they don't really make me sad, or they don't make me overly happy, or there's no, like, emotion attached with it. However, there are so many that bring me back to school. Like, if I smell something for, like, a minute, I'm gone. I'm remembering, like, a certain day or something like that. And it always happens when I smell some really strong coffee. When I smell really strong coffee, I get, like, mentally brought back to sitting in the classroom before school starts, like, the 30 minutes before school starts, our teacher's sitting down, we're all just having, like, free time. It's, like, 7:30, 8:30, it's 8:30, sorry, school started at 9. You know, because my bus got me in early, or I was walking and I was there early or whatever, and I always used to get a coffee from the shop down the road, and it would always be, like, black coffee. And that smell, anytime I smell it, will bring me back to that classroom. And then whenever I get reminded of that, then my mind will be like, oh, since we're remembering that, let's also remember this event that happened at school. And because the school ones come up so frequently, they're normally an event that I would deem as something that was not nice that happened to me. That is like where I'm coming from. So like when these are like dealing with like a traumatizing event or like having PTSD, it's not that I'm trying to undermine myself or whatever, but I don't want to be insensitive to people that struggle with that, and I don't want to pull a Trisha Paytas and like diagnose myself with something. But all I'm saying is like a lot of the like school memories, which are the most frequent ones I get, are having to do with like a really, really, really bad event, or like a really, really, really bad day, or like the day when someone in school said that about me, or the day when my teacher said that about me, or the day when something went wrong in school or whatever like that, like targeted towards me or whatever. And I'm not going to get into, like, I don't need to. We're already aware I had a bad experience. My secondary school, I went to an all-boys school, very homophobic, just very making fun of me, isolating me and my friends. Anything we did was a joke, blah, blah, blah. Not a good time in my life. I can do anything, and sometimes it doesn't happen for like a couple weeks as well. Sometimes, though, it just is like, I can't escape it. And it's not like every single hour of the day it happens. It could like not happen for like 5 weeks, and then it'll happen like 3 times in one day or something like that. Like it's so unpredictable, and that's why every time it happens, I like want to talk about it because it catches me so off guard. But again, I don't want to like, not all of them are like bad events that have happened in my life, because it really can be as simple as my dad driving me to the cinema and playing Britney Spears. But I also will like sometimes just remember random moments from my life from whenever I was like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, and I'm like, how did I even, what just happened? Oh, was that my shadow? Jesus Christ. Oh, it is. I was like, how did I even, because my windows are there, and if someone walked to my balcony, it would shadow. So it was, living alone, you get those fears. It would, you know what I mean? I have no idea what I was saying. What was I saying? Flashbacks. Oh, memories from like I'm 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm like, I've never ever thought about this in my entire life. And then I'll be like, oh my God, I remember that happening. What's so weird is literally I'm like stopping one from happening right now. Just whenever I'm talking about 3 or 4 or 5, I'm remembering right now that whenever I was in my, oh my God, this is so weird. I had a toy. I'm trying to like not give away too much of the story because it's like a really weird story, but it was one of the houses whenever I was younger, and I dropped one of my favorite toys in the bush outside our front house, and one of the guys that I was friends with at the time, but he was kind of like the devil, he pushed me into it, and I got ripped all up my back, and oh my God, that's so weird that like even just talking about it. See, it's not like it's not like I'm gone when it happens, or it's not like, you know, I'm like shocked or anything like that. Like it literally can just be as easy as that. But whenever I'm not talking to a camera, it goes on for a long time, and then it's so interesting. Okay, so emotional flashback. You might see an image or a memory of the past. During an emotional flashback, there is no visual aspect. But, see, I don't... Whenever I get in like that, I don't... It's not like a third person thing. Whenever my armpits are sweating. I like have been filming under lights all day. I don't like see it in like third person or whatever. I'm not like... Whenever I'm in like the science lab... There we go, I'm not thinking about it. I'm not seeing myself sitting on the desk, like, over here, and I'm, like, watching, like, The Sims. I am the 2 boys who were right here, the 2 that were right there, the 2 on my side, the teacher's over there. Like, I'm seeing the entire thing. And I don't know if it's just as simple as, like, remembering something or, like, memory or whatever, but whenever you randomly will, like, think so strongly about something and it, like, that's where I'm, like... Does everyone just, like, does that happen to you, or, like, whatever? Because, again, whenever I talk to my friends about it, they're like, we've never experienced that. And I'm like, I want to know, because I want to know if it's literally just, like, remembering something or whatever. Okay. All types of flashbacks may lead to feelings of helplessness or being in danger. See, I don't feel either of those. A somatic flashback causes a person to physically re-experience trauma. It could be pain or discomfort or sensations. That depends a lot on what kinds of experiences you've endured. And then it lists like a lot of like really bad things. It says C, PTSD. I don't like. What are intrusive flashbacks? Intrusive memories of a traumatic event can be distressing and disruptive and compromise a core clinical feature or post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Intrusive memories involve mental imagery-based impressions that intrude into mind involuntarily and are emotional. See, that sounds more like what I'm describing. That sounds more like it. But I also just am like, is this just as simple as like, I'm just very prone to like flashbacks? Or like, it's like weird. It's like literally like a sitcom, my mind, an inescapable mind. What I will say is it's very weird sitting down talking about it because there's a lot that's going on in my mind right now while I'm talking about this of like different, portions of my life. It's like crazy. I've never actually like, this literally feels like therapy right now, and it's like, weirdly, there's a lot going on. So I may as well just talk about like that. I mean, now because I was talking about school, I'm thinking about what like escaping school. When I would literally like find my ways to escape out of school every single day. Like I would sometimes as easy as walk out the front gates midday, or I had a little like hole in the barbed wire I would go through that was in the bushes. It was fun. And I remember I used to walk a strategic way so that I would, sorry, this is so distracting. My friend has a lava lamp and it is going crazy right now. There were different ways to walk because it was like a main road by my school. So I never walked by that just in case one of the teachers were driving back and they saw me and gave me an attention. Even though the teachers did not care that I didn't come back, but you know what I mean? Served me fine. So I'd walk a certain way, and I remember I would take off my blazer and I would take off my tie, so I would just have a white shirt, and I would think that, oh, they won't know what school I'm from, which is actually kind of smart, because, like the blazer and tie really give it away, especially the tie. It was like a blue tie. I wonder if I can show you what the uniform looked like. Let me get this up. What was the school called? St. Colum's College. That's the school I went to, and that was the worst of my entire life. Okay, it's all pictures of students, so I'm gonna have to like zoom in and like crop one of them out just to kind of give you an idea. So this is what the uniform looked like. Oh, it was like a blue tie and like the blazer had blue on it, so it was very recognizable. So I always used to, and there's not that many schools in Derry, so it's kind of like guessable which one you're from. So I then would do, what would I do? Oh, I would go into Jolly's, which was a pet shop, which was near the secondary school, because I always used to love seeing the animals. And that was around the time when I had hamsters. So I used to go in and I literally used to get sunflower seeds and hamster bridges. And I mean, whenever I would return to school, sometimes I would return and sometimes I would literally just not and then go home. Like when school ended, mom would be like, how's school? And I'm like, it was so good. And the teachers never called home because none of them like cared enough to even like check if the students were there. And my friend would just say here when they called attendance. I used to go in the pet shop and I used to always, if I did go back to school, which would normally I would like leave during lunch and I just wouldn't come back for like 2 hours, and then I would like come back for like the last lesson or two, and they'd ask me where I was, because I was walking in mid lesson, and I would just come up with an excuse and they believe me, or they just didn't care. Fine by me. And I always used to come back and my friend would be like, what the fuck is in your bag? And I would open my bag because it wouldn't close, and it was literally like hamster food, hamster toys, hamster wheel, blah 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 blah, because that was my only time that I really was close to a pet shop, because there wasn't any near where I lived, so because my school was a bit away from where I lived. And then the other places I would go, let me think. I used to go to the cinema a lot because there was a cinema right by the school, but that was more if I was feeling adventurous, because our school cleaner used to always go there during his lunch and play poker. Was it poker? one of those things. So he used to rat on me, so I didn't go there near the end. Sometimes I would go to the cinema though, and I would always do the photo booth. I wonder if I would ever be able to find those photo booth pictures of me. And then other times I would literally just walk into town, but I was always so scared that my nana or granda would see me, because my mom and dad knew that I would like skip school and skip lessons, and they were so like angry that I would do it, but like they knew how depressed I was in school, and I think they were just like, all right, we're just gonna like, we're gonna tell you that we don't appreciate it and you need to stop it and you start going to your lessons, but like there's a certain stage where we cannot control you. Because I mean, if they're leaving for work and I'm going to school, they don't know. Also, oh my god, I used to literally like, I remember specifically the day that Mariah Carey's song GTFO came out. I went into school and it came out like third lesson or something like that. So I told my friend, okay, I'm going to walk out and listen to the song. So I walked out of school, I walked out the front gates, and I went into the field beside the school. I listened to the song, and then I fell asleep in the fucking field. I fell asleep in this fucking field, which is so dangerous. And then I woke up at like 2:30 after going there at like 10 a.m. And then I was like, oh, may as well just go back to school. And I went back to school after sleeping in the fucking field for a few hours. My teachers didn't care that I was gone. And then I would just get the bus home. Mom would be like, how was school? Oh, it was good. Like, fuck me. I have so many stories about like my schooling years. And that was just like, that specifically was like my last few years. I think that was 2018. I think I graduated in 2019. So that was crazy. I'm trying to think what other stories flash out. I remember that, again, another traumatizing event was my teacher lied to me and then got me suspended from school because she told me something she shouldn't have told me. And whenever I was asked by the head teacher about it, I told the truth, which, because I thought it wasn't a problem. And then she said, oh, the teacher said she never said that. And then the teacher came face to face with me and was like, I never said that. Then I looked like I had made stuff up. I got suspended. And that was my favorite teacher at the time, and the only one I would like actually like confide in. So she kind of was like, anything I would tell her, she would basically tell the entire school without me knowing. So I kind of lost a lot of trust in teachers then, and I hated that bitch in the end. I hated both those bitches actually. My head teacher didn't like her. So, and I mean, she was the worst. She was like out to get me, and I mean genuinely out to get me. She used to like money shame me all the time, which was so weird. Like, I didn't come from a poor upbringing, but I didn't come from a wealthy upbringing. I came from two hardworking parents, and like we were just like, you know what I mean? But I remember there were a couple of times where she would like publicly in the class like be like, Adam, why didn't you come to, because I won an award in school. And she was like, Adam, why didn't you, in front of the entire class, Adam, why didn't you come to the award ceremony last night? And I was like, I couldn't come because, what did I say? My dad's car was broken down, and my mom's, or wait, there was something with the cars. We didn't have a car, because they were both getting fixed, or my mom was getting a new car, and my dad's one was, its tire was popped. And I remember I was like, oh, like I couldn't come, like we didn't have a car or whatever. And I remember she was like, can you not just afford a taxi? And I was like, oh, like, yeah, whatever, like that. And she was like, next time, just afford a taxi, okay? She was like, put a couple pounds aside. And then the class started laughing at me. And it was like, never once did I make it an issue about money. Never once did I, like, it was not, like, to them. It was not to the teachers. It was never a problem. And in fairness, I probably never wanted to fucking go anyway. And I never got the award in the end because I didn't show up to it. And that was only one of the times that, like, so there were just, like, so many. So I think once I started being open with my parents about things like that happening, and then I would tell them that I was missing school because I was skipping or whatever like that, I think as parents, they were like, no, go back to school. Like, that's so bad or whatever. But I think as, like, personal human beings knowing their child, they knew that I was struggling so hard, and that, like, the way it was going, I wouldn't have survived very long because it was awful. From like personal identity was stripped to just everything. Um, so whenever I have like these moments of like flashing back to like certain things like that, I really, they're the ones that will like almost like make me like cry. And because it makes me feel really sad as well, because I'm like, wow, I was like 16, 15, 14, 13 years old, 11, 12 years old. And I look at myself in photos from that time and I'm like, wow, you're like really just a baby. And I'm like, I like can't even imagine like how you were feeling then, because I lived it, and like I feel like I've become so desensitized to it, and I feel like when time moves on you almost forget about certain, impacts things have had on you. But I genuinely like can't believe whenever I look at pictures of myself and I'm like, wow, you're so young, and like you were like really going through it in that school, especially at that time. I'm not crying, by the way, my nose is just itchy. So I was, yeah, I mean, I would love, love, love if I had done like a full on like expose of like my school, because now I would need to like sit down and like think day by day, to remember everything. And it really is just like sometimes then like I'll remember a flashback and I'm like, my God, I haven't thought about that since it happened or whatever like that. And I just think as well, like every who's texting me? I have no idea who's texting me. Wait. Oh. Um I just think as well, like the friends that I was friends with whenever I was in school, I'm not friends with, as I say, I'm not friends with any of them anymore. I'm like friends with, a couple of them now, but like my immediate close friends, like none of us are friends anymore. And I think just like, I just think we weren't even supposed to have been friends. Like, we were so living in a negative world because we were like the ones that would get made fun of. We were living in a negative world. We were then negative towards each other. We based our friendship off of like hating everyone else because they were doing us so badly. That it was just so negative, and I'm not even surprised that none of us are friends anymore, because, and I hear this all the time, where it's like, would you have been, and I remember someone said this to me whenever I was in my final year at that school. They were like, would you be friends with the friends you're with if you weren't forced to see them every day? And I was like, no. No, I wouldn't be. And I'm sure they would say the exact same thing about me. Because especially at that time of being in secondary school, I was not a good friend, nor were my friends good friends. And like, I wasn't a good friend, so me saying that they weren't a good friend, I'm not dragging them, I'm not exposing them. I actually feel bad for all of us, because all of us were awful friends to each other, because we were all so fucking depressed. And we were all so fucking upset. And we were all so fucking, like, broken being in that environment. So we just took it out on each other, because we were the only ones that, like, would talk to each other. You know what I mean? Like, no one else in the class was talking to us. They were making fun of us. So we would just confide in each other. But then we were taking our anger out on each other. And we were just, like, the worst to each other. So I'm not even surprised that none of us are friends anymore. Nor if I was given the opportunity, would I want to be friends with any of these people anymore. And the reason for that is nothing more than just, I feel that it would be too, like, triggering to be friends with these people anymore. And again, that is just basing it down to the circumstances in which we were. Do I think that these people that I was friends with, that I'm no longer friends with, are awful people? Absolutely not. Do I think that they think that I'm an awful person? I hope not. We all just were so negative because we were barely fucking holding on at that school. And someone said that to me recently, because they're friends with a couple of the people I used to be really close with in school, and they're like, if given the opportunity, like, would you want to, be friends with this person again? And I was like, I'm not even saying this to be rude, but no, like, I couldn't, like, they to me, them to me, like a big group of them, like, they are just kind of that era for me now. And I mean no disrespect when I'm saying that, but like, a flashback can ruin my entire day. I can't even imagine what it would be like if I was actually sitting down face to face with these people anymore. I just don't think I could do it, if I'm being honest. So I would love to know people's opinions on what I described. I'm really curious as to like what is going on. And I mean, it really started to happen pandemic. Like it really started to happen pandemic whenever like we had so much time alone and then living alone, you know, it happens a lot too. So I would love to know. Either way, I appreciate you watching and thank you so much. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye. Mwah.